Some people won't dislike you for what you've done. They'll pull away because of who you've become. You've outgrown the versions of reality they still cling to, and instead of expanding with you, they retreat. They avoid eye contact. They whisper. They shrink in your presence, not because you're intimidating by force, but because your presence reveals something they've buried in themselves. You are not too much. You are simply honest in a world that thrives on facades, and honesty feels threatening to those who have built their identity on illusion. Carl Jung spent a lifetime exploring this, what he called the unconscious force of the self, that silent power you carry when you've looked within and made peace with your own darkness. This video will reveal 13 signs that your aura might be quietly overwhelming to others, not because you are broken, but because you are becoming whole. In a world addicted to comfort, that's unsettling. Most people think of an aura as a mystical light, a rainbow mist around the body. But Jung saw it differently. He understood the aura as a field of emotional resonance, an unseen atmosphere of energy, shaped not by crystals or colors, but by inner work. Your thoughts, your wounds, your wisdom, they shape your energetic field. You don't have to say a word. People feel it when you walk into a room. They sense something. It's not magic, it's presence. Jung called this phenomenon the unconscious transmission of the self. When you faced your own shadow, your trauma, insecurities, fears, you radiate a deeper kind of truth. It shows up in your silence, in the calm of your voice, in the intensity of your gaze. And that energy, it's not loud, but it's felt, especially by those who are still running from themselves. Sign number 1, people call you intense, even when you're calm. You speak from a place beneath the surface. You ask real questions. You mention things others avoid, not to confront, but to connect. Yet people recoil. They say you're too serious or too deep. What they really mean is, you're awakening feelings they've been avoiding. Your energy doesn't fit the script they're used to, and that script is often built to avoid discomfort. Sign number 2, small talk exhausts you. You're not antisocial. You're just allergic to the superficial. The how are you? And did you watch the game? Conversations feel like static to your nervous system. It's not that you're rude. You try to smile, to nod, but something in you resists. You crave substance, realness, and people sense it. Even if you don't say a word, your energy challenges the social illusion, saying, let's talk about something that matters. Sign number 3, people unload their emotions onto you. Strangers confess things they've never told anyone. Friends seek you out when they're unraveling. You didn't ask for this, but somehow people feel safe around you. It's because your aura radiates acceptance and presence. You don't judge, you hold space. But here's the twist. While you absorb their emotions, very few return the favor. You're the rock, the lighthouse, but you're rarely asked, how are you, really? Sign number 4, eye contact becomes a spiritual confrontation. You look someone in the eyes and they flinch, not because you're aggressive, but because your gaze feels like a mirror. Jung said that when someone sees clearly, they reflect back what others are hiding. Your eyes don't just see, they reveal. And for people who have buried parts of themselves, that can be too much. Sign number 5, you trigger strong reactions without trying. You're just sitting there, present, quiet, at peace. And yet, someone gets defensive. Their tone shifts, they act strangely. You wonder, what did I do? The answer is nothing. It's your energy. You're not playing their game. You're not feeding their ego. And in a world where most interactions are power plays or validations, your neutrality feels disruptive. Sign number 6, you see through masks, and people know it. You've never been good at pretending, and you've never been comfortable around those who do. You can feel inauthenticity like a bad smell. You notice the forced laugh, the overcompensation, the performance. Not to judge, but because you've worked hard to drop your own mask, and that work gives you the ability to sense fragmentation in others. When they're fake, your energy silently says, you don't need to pretend. But pretending is all some people know. Sign number 7. You make people question themselves. You challenge assumptions, not with arrogance, but with curiosity. Why do we do it this way? What do you actually feel? These aren't attacks, they're invitations. But for someone who's built their identity on unquestioned beliefs, your questions feel like earthquakes. You didn't mean to shake their foundation. You were just speaking your truth. But your clarity exposes their confusion. Your calmness highlights their inner storm. Sign 8. People open up to you, then disappear. They say you get them. They share their secrets. It feels intimate, real. Then, silence. They ghost you, pull away. Why? Because vulnerability is terrifying when you're not ready for it. Your energy held up a mirror. They saw their pain. And even though that moment felt healing, it also awakened what they weren't ready to face. Sign 9. You quietly unsettle authority figures. You walk into a meeting and the dynamic shifts. The loudest person in the room goes quiet. Your boss seems oddly defensive. You didn't do anything, but your presence changes the frequency. Because you don't worship titles or personas, you respect truth. And those in power who rely on control can sense that. Without saying a word, your aura reminds them, status doesn't equal substance. Sign 10. You sense lies without needing proof. You know when someone is being fake, dishonest, or out of alignment, even if they sound convincing. You feel it in your gut. It's not paranoia, it's intuition. Carl Jung called this unconscious intelligence, an awareness beyond logic. You don't need evidence, you just feel truth, and it makes it very hard for others to deceive you. Sign 11. You absorb energy like a sponge. You walk into a room and feel everything. Joy, tension, sadness, even when no one speaks. Your aura is sensitive, open. It's like an emotional radar. This gives you deep empathy, but also leaves you drained if you're not careful. You've probably left conversations feeling heavy, realizing later none of those emotions were even yours. Sign 12. You've always felt like an outsider, even in crowds, even with friends. Since childhood, you've felt different, like you were observing life from the edge, asking questions no one else seemed to care about. It's not arrogance, it's awareness. Your soul has always been tuned to a different frequency, and people feel it. Some are drawn to it, some are confused by it, but few are indifferent. Sign 13. Your presence feels like a call to truth. You don't just live, you embody a deeper reality, and that reality stirs people. For those ready to grow, you're magnetic. For those still hiding, you're uncomfortable. Your aura isn't loud, but it's undeniable. It doesn't demand attention. It demands honesty, and not everyone is ready for that. You are not too much. You are simply aligned. In a world obsessed with appearance, you are substance. In a world built on pretending, you are presence. That will always feel threatening to those not ready to evolve. But don't shrink to make them feel safe. Don't dim to make them comfortable. Your aura is not a problem. It's a light. And even if that light blinds some, it guides others. So the next time someone says you're too